This is ContraZoom.
where we go back and forth about film.
I'm Dakota Arsenault.
And I'm Jeff Bulmer.
This is a special episode today. Jeff was fortunate enough to get a chance to sit down with Zacharias Kunuk, the director of Wrong Husband, a film that played during this year's Toronto International Film Festival. Kunuk is best known for directing the 2001 film Atanerjuat, The Fast Runner, the very first fully written, directed, and produced Inuktitut feature film that back in 2015, TIFF named The Fast Runner as the best Canadian film of all time, having previously placed 5th back on the 2004 list. So that's awesome, Jeff, that you got this great opportunity to speak with someone who is so important in telling stories in our country with his own unique voice, language, storytelling, traditions, all that sort of fun stuff. How did this opportunity come about for you?
I mean, I was asked, would you like an interview with Zacharias Kunuk? And I said yes. And I mean, I don't know. It doesn't feel like there was much more to it than that. But I'm every now and then. I mean, you'll know this as well as I'm sure anyone listening to this who is on any kind of press list. Occasionally, you get opportunities like that, and I decided that this time I wanna pursue that opportunity. You know, it's coming in. I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, sort of pulling back the curtain a little bit, you know, we get sent a ton of press emails, a lot of stuff I've never heard of and will never hear from again, and that's not a slight against that. That's just sort of the way, you know, making films work. There's just a lot of them out there. And also, we sometimes will get interviews where, like, oh, man, that would be a great opportunity. I just don't have the time. I don't have the bandwidth. Whatever it is, something just might not work out. But then every once in a while, sometimes the stars align where you get to do something really cool like this, like you did, which I believe was on the day of the world premiere of Wrong Husband, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes, I was sent a screener in advance so that I could ask him questions about it. But the day of the interview with Zacharias, was the premiere of it. Actually, I was his last interview before his press team came in and like tried to were hurriedly getting him to the next place so that he could be ready for the premiere.
Well, that's pretty awesome, then.
Yeah, it was really cool. I did not realize I was going to be the last person, so yeah, that took me by surprise a bit.
Nice. And then you also talked about it a bit. He was given an award by TIFF that you were in attendance for as well. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because you sort of, you know, mention it, but you don't really describe how the event was.
Yeah, the day before he'd gotten the TIFF Tribute Award, and I hate to say this, I wasn't actually in attendance for that, but the TIFF Tribute Awards were streamed largely on YouTube, so I saw bits and pieces of it afterwards in preparation for the interview because I knew that was going to happen. So I made sure that I could that I made time to watch as much of at least his parts of it as I could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's something you always have to do when you're doing an interview. And, you know, I appreciate that you did so much prep work yourself and watching several of his films going into this. Like, you were very familiar with his work.
Well, I tried to be. He is a really interesting filmmaker, and one of the reasons that, like, when I was given this opportunity, I just jumped on it is, you know, this is someone whose work I'm familiar with, and whose work I want to be more familiar with. So, you know, getting this opportunity not gave me more of an excuse. Not that I needed an excuse, but gave me an excuse to like go and watch more of his filmography. And I still am not done. I'd like to hopefully finish that here in the next little bit because he's got a really interesting directorial vision, and you know, I think it's a lot easier to talk about something if you actually like it. So I'm very happy that, you know, this opportunity came for someone whose work I really, really admire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you cover a lot of ground in this interview. This is a 20-minute interview that you conducted. You talk about, you know, this having the most special effects that he's ever done in a film before, and sort of his previous film was an animated film, so sort of how that maybe prepped him for doing something a little more effects heavy,
Mhm.
getting permission from his elders in his community, because yes, he is a filmmaker and a storyteller, but he's also a part of a tradition of stories being passed down through generations, and these are not his original stories. So, you know, you have to go to the people, the elders of the community, to sort of reach out to them and be like, are you okay if I share this outside of our community?
Yeah.
You know, giving their blessing basically. But yeah, you cover a lot of ground in this, and I think you got some really great, thoughtful answers from him, and I think you really appreciated what you brought to the table.
Yeah, he's got so much to say about this movie and just being a director and his work in general. At times, I was almost overwhelmed by, you know, I had something I wanted to ask him that he had just gone on a whole tangent and answered, and I didn't know how to even interject the question because it had already been answered. So, you know, he's got a lot to say, and I was very impressed by how open he was in this interview.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's awesome. Do you have anything else to add before we throw it to the interview here?
Oh, I don't know. Just if anyone is not familiar with Zacharias Kunuk already, I hope that you will enjoy this interview. And I hope that after hearing this interview, you will go and get more familiar with Zacharias Kunuk because he has just an incredible filmography. And, you know, this is, once again, I am lucky enough to be able to say at this point that I have yet to do interviews with. You know, I'm not lying to you when I say I really like the person who I'm interviewing. So, you know, I hope that whoever's listening enjoys this interview.
Amazing, and here it is.
Hello, my name is Jeff Bulmer from Classic Movies Live and from Contra Zoom Pod, and I am here today with Zacharias Kunuk, the director of Wiksaring Gitara, or Wrong Husband. Zacharias, thank you so much for this opportunity. I have a lot of questions for you, but I'm just going to start off with one I'm sure you've gotten many times. What made you want to tell this story specifically?
The Wrong Husband story, I know. I saw this man who went through this. When I came to England in 1966, I saw this man who was married to a promised woman
Mhm.
who happily lived happily and had 2 children, but the right husband came, uh, and they duke it out. Uh, and the winner was the right husband, and took her away. Um, Also, I'm putting in this story the troll. I've heard about the troll when we were children,
Mhm.
uh, telling us, our parents telling us, don't wander too far from the camp, or the troll will get you. So we never seen the troll, but we were always scared of the troll. But by accident, few people have seen the troll. And when we're creating this, talking to people, what does it look like? What does it? They were telling me they had a big giant nose, and we started drawing. Does it look like this? Does it? Yeah, this is the closest one. And we drew that and sent it to special effects people in Vancouver, and they made the mass.
Mhm.
And also in the story, uh, I'm playing with 2 shamans and their helping spirits. And since I've been making films in winter, uh, when I was developing this story, I had this idea of blowing snow spirit. When the wind is blowing, when the snow is, the face starts to appear. I had that idea, but but we're doing it in the summer. I mean, you can't have snow. So I created this fog lady and have special effects around her. This time we're using special effects. Uh, in the journals of Kunuk Rasmussen, we had helping spirits of Awa, but they're more hanging around like humans, and you can't tell if they're spirits or they're children. When he finally cast them away, you can now see they're his helping spirits. But this time, we're creating with special effects the caribou that turns into a human. So that's possible with special effects. And the funeral, I heard about the story about how a funeral a long time ago, about how they put caribou hair in their left nostrils. And I also know I put in this film the tool that they use in the funeral with the ladies swing, this Lulu sound maker we have. I wanted to put that in the movie because I know in Australia, the Aborigines, they do it over their head. And I was wondering, what's that doing in Northern Canada? I mean, why is it in this culture? And I want to show that. So I'm putting a lot of things in this film.
Well, you touched on a lot of things that I do want to get into a little more detail in, but one of the first things you said was one of the things I think is most fascinating to me about this movie. This is set 4,000 years ago in the past, but you just mentioned that this happened, that you saw this happen in a much more recently than 4,000 years ago. So I did get the feeling that this is a very modern story in a lot of ways, but this being as modern and with as much as there is in it, what made you decide to set this so far back?
Like The Fast Runner, like other films I have made. In the Inuit culture, the clothes stayed the same all the thousands of years. It stayed the same the way they make it, because in the Arctic, there's the West and the East, and there's different dialects of language, and each dialect has its own costume. And when you look at my films, they're from my area, they speak that kind of dialect, Inuktitut dialect, and that's what I'm trying to save. I'm trying to save this culture, the language. Another thing that drove me to do recreation was when I went to work in 1984 with the Inuit Broadcasting. They didn't have anything. I mean, we interviewed elders and they had great, terrific stories about a hunt and how their dog would start barking differently. And I wanted to see that, but don't have rushes. There's no stock footage of what they're talking about. So that drove me to do recreation, and I've been doing that ever since. It's because the costumes stayed the same, the way they live stayed the same, the animals they hunt are the same, so stayed like that for till the Europeans came.
Speaking of recreation, I was a big fan of Tanarjuat, The Fast Runner, when I saw it several years ago. Not when it came out, but several years ago. And that movie was very, I don't know if this is quite the right word I'm looking for, but it was very grounded. It was very realistic. There's no special effects in that one. And this is the movie of yours which has far and away the most special effects. So what was the process of adding those special effects to your work and sort of blending that more grounded style that you've had in other movies with this? Now, honestly, this looked like, this is closer to a blockbuster style in a lot of spots.
Over the years, as we've been doing this film and other films, we're learning. We're learning as we go. And we're watching other movies, how they make movies. And also, in the early movies, I'm not describing enough of what I'm trying to portray. Now you can, because technology has evolved so much. With today's technology, you could do the fog lady. Let the fog follow her when she's walking. You can add digital effects. And today you could even have AI, and that's the future. Yeah, we're evolving and we're learning. That's what I'm trying to do.
So the last film you had, please excuse my pronunciation, Anga Kuksa Yaoyuk. That was an animated film. And I noticed in that one, I just rewatched it today. I've seen it a few times before. In that film, that deals much more directly with the spirit world, and you're able to do that because it is animated. And I wanted to know, did that help you to sort of figure out the special effects, the visuals that you wanted to do in this film? How did that sort of inform this film, if it did?
Yeah, probably you're right, because in Shaman's Apprentice, the only way I could do it is animation and stop motion. I had trouble. I have a scene of them going into the ground, and my first thought of maybe they had in the olden days bone ladders, so they go down. But no, there's no invention of the ladder. How did they climb down? And I had trouble with that scene. And then I asked an elder, how am I going to do this? And she asked me, how do you climb down a hill? Oh, okay. It's that simple.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. So, yeah, it's getting more possible to do shamanistic scenes, like effects, special effects. But that costs. That adds extra costs.
Right.
Yeah.
I listened to your speech at the TIFF Tribute Awards yesterday. Congratulations, by the way, on your tribute award. And one thing I wanted to touch on there is you mentioned that before each of your films, you talk a lot with elders to determine what you can portray, what you shouldn't portray, how you should portray things. And I'm going to assume you did that with this film as well. I want to know, how did those discussions sort of inform, I mean, probably a lot of the supernatural elements, but a lot of what ended up in this movie?
When I have these elder meetings, when I'm after a subject, I would ask, how did you get married? I mean, was it arranged? Most of the elders would say yes, they were arranged. And I'm forgetting what I'm tasting.
Well, actually, picking up on that, what about the elders who didn't say they got arranged and that their marriage was arranged?
This stopped a long time ago, the arranged marriage, when we got into these refugee communities.
Right.
When we got off the land, that stopped. Christianity stopped most of everything. But no, it doesn't blend well. That marriage work. Today we see young couples, newly weds, holding hands. Is it going to be like that forever? No. But arranged marriages do work in the olden days. But now, I'm just telling a story. In the olden days, in this wrong movie, how the wrong husband story.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about working with the actors. There's there's a lot of great performances in this, but with a few exceptions, if I'm understanding it correctly, most of the actors are non-professionals. So how was it? I know you've worked with plenty of non-professional actors in the past, but how is that process working with Teresia and Hayden and some of the other non-professional actors in the cast?
Well, first of all, I heard from the Southern culture that life is an act.
Mhm.
So how do we get in there? So new actors have to get into their character role.
Mhm.
They have to get their personal and shift it to this character. So they have to study this character. And when we're shooting on set, they have to transform themselves into this character.
Mhm.
So character building, that's what we try to do. We tell our actors, get into the character.
Mhm.
It's not you. It's the character you play. That's what we try to teach our actors.
So what was that shooting process like then? Sorry, I mean, like, as you're getting these actors into character, did you spend a lot of time while the cameras weren't rolling, sort of building up those relationships, building up those characters?
Yeah, from
Yeah.
the day we choose the actor,
Mhm.
we give them their script, and they have to learn it by heart, their lines.
Mhm.
They're practicing their lines. We take them out on our island to a camp, like a boot camp,
Mhm.
when we're filming, where we eat together, sleep together, work together. And we have a set there, Camp 1. We have another set here, Camp 2. And in the middle is our camp, our modern camp. So we just do it like that.
Mhm.
Easier. And have a break after 2 weeks because we're shooting in July and we finish in the middle. In July, bugs, mosquitoes are flying.
Right.
Us behind the scene, we got mosquito nets, but our actors, they're bare.
Mhm.
And they have to act as if nothing is happening.
Mhm.
They do a really good job. They did a really good job.
Um,
That's why we pat them in the back each day. Good job.
I want to touch on something you mentioned in your TIFF tribute speech yesterday. You mentioned that for your first films, for Atanarjuat, for example, a lot of the actor lines were at least somewhat improvised. And here you just said that, you know, when you bring out the actors, they learn every line of the script. How has that process evolved over the years? Was there room for a lot of actor improvisation here, or was it much more rigid in that sense? Or, you know,
A lot of improvise we did before The Fast Runner. I remember in 1988, first time I let people act.
right.
They were improvising their lines, but the costume and the set is what I want, and what you're gonna come through here and walk and talk like this, and you make your line as you go.
Mhm.
So, and it worked. I mean, it worked.
Mhm.
And in the Fast Runner, not too many improvise because we have a script.
Right.
Since the Fast Runner, we always have 2 scripts. We have one in English for the funding agencies.
Mhm.
We have another script in Inuktitut for the actors. And when we're shooting, that's what we follow.
Right.
Yeah, it's always been script now. It's scripted now.
Mhm. So I wanted to go back a little bit to the supernatural elements of the film, because what I thought was really interesting is the way that the supernatural and the, I guess, natural in this movie are parallel. They very clearly mirror each other, but they rarely directly interact with each other. It does happen at a few points, but largely, there's this battle between shamans that's going on that is affecting the real world, or not, I don't want to say the real world, that is affecting the other world, but the other outside of the shamans, no one knows about it. There's this troll who has been seen, as you mentioned, by like 2 people. But that is all very much there, and that is very much in direct interaction with the rest of the world, even if people don't see it. And I wanted to sort of touch on that. Sort of how did you decide to portray those supernatural elements with the realism, and how they would interact like that?
In our culture, we have a lot of stories about those.
Yes.
The supernatural world. But it's bulldozed by Christianity. And forbidden to tell stories, forbidden to sing traditional songs. I mean, because I'm on the Anglican side, that's what our preacher was saying. So we don't listen. I don't listen. We don't listen. Like in filmmaking, you have to cry, you have to die, you have to have sex, you have to have murder, all these elements in making the film. When I was growing up, mother telling us, don't pretend to cry, don't pretend to die. But when we're making a film, we always pretend to cry, we pretend to die. But that's what we do. It's filmmaking.
Yeah. There's one scene that really stood out to me. Right near the end, it's where Hayden's character, Sapa, is getting ready to go and save Kojak. And he meets with the fog lady, who tells him to meditate on on a nearby hill. And during that meditation, I thought that was a really strange, ethereal scene, like a very cool one. I really liked it because it's sort of, it's very unclear how much time passes, in my opinion. And to me, it played out a lot like a training montage, which is certainly not what I expected. One thing I found really interesting was how the addition of a lot of special effects, and structurally, this movie does feel like a blockbuster in some of those areas. And that's where I think it stood out the most to me. And I wanted to know sort of what kind of influences you're bringing into this film.
I'm just learning as I go.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. With new tools, yeah.
Okay. I think that's all the questions that I had written down.
Yeah. For instance, when we started, we used to use tape. But in the call, your camera starts to freeze and your viewfinder freezes, and so you can't see what you're seeing.
Right.
I mean, you can't see, but you see the tape is still rolling. You're getting something. When we were in that stage, we always imagine, one day we wish we would have a no-moving camera. And today we have no moving camera. Since we went digital, memory cards, that's for evolving to the next level. Digital.
Well, I think the last question I have is, do you know what's next?
No.
Okay.
I have to find that story. Have to hunt for that story. I have to find which story is a good story. Because a good story makes a good film.
And well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Weeksar Gitara, I hope people will see it. It is a very good film, and it is premiering, I believe, today at TIFF, and will be here through the festival. Thank you so much, Zacharias, Kunuk, and I'm going to go watch this again very soon.
Okay.
So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Awesome, Jeff. That was such a great interview. Really appreciate you doing that and getting such thoughtful answers. out of Kunuk. You reviewed Wrong Husband, so that is linked in the show notes, is up on ContraZoomPod.com right now, so anyone can go check that out. So if you are curious about that film and wanting to learn a little bit more about that, or maybe you saw it and you want to hear someone's thoughts about it, definitely check out Jeff's reviews. We published a ton of TIFF content that I'm very proud of. You were leading the charge there, Jeff, going absolutely crazy, just doing fantastic work as always.
I'm doing my best.
But yeah, if you're looking for TIFF content, we have a wrap-up podcast, we did a preview podcast, and well over 20 plus reviews. I can't even count how many there were. There's just a lot, which is awesome. Including you and I covering basically all of the Midnight Madness films. And when I say you and I mean I did 2 of them and you did the rest of them.
Yeah, I actually still have one that may be coming at some point, but we got 9 out of 10, which is
awesome.
Incredible. I think in the past we've maybe covered 1 Midnight Madness movie a year.
Yeah, so that's definitely something I want to try to maybe do going forward, because that was a lot of fun. So make sure you check out ContraZoomPod.com for all of that great stuff. And then, Jeff, over on your podcast, Classic Movies Live, you recapped your TIFF experience too, where every year I love this, where Pierre basically just asks you a bunch of questions by looking at a list of titles and names, and get some really great conversations going between the two of you, as always.
Yeah, it's always a really fun episode because it's where I get to tell Pierre what he's going to be watching for our episodes in the next couple of months.
Yeah.
And, the few things that, maybe we aren't doing an episode on, but are like, I would like to talk about this and I don't know where else to do that. There's some really good titles that we talk about in there. And so, I encourage everybody to check that one out too.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a link to that in the show notes as well. Jeff, thank you so much again for doing this. It was a real pleasure getting to listen to you two talk.
Yeah. Thank you. It was I'm really grateful for the opportunity. So, thank you for giving me the platform to do this.
Amazing. This has been a That Shelf podcast. Visit thatshelf.com for more great film discourse. Follow the show on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at ContraZoomPod. Did you see Wrong Husband at TIFF? Leave a comment on Spotify or send us an email. Thank you to Eric and Kevin Smale for the theme music and to Stephanie Pryor for the logo design. If you like to listen to podcasts on YouTube, we do post all episodes there as well. And if you really like the show, consider tipping us on coffee. Thanks for checking us in.